Hey everyone, I'm Sean from CoreSWX, and welcome back to the CoreCast, where we highlight industry professionals from all different areas of the professional video industry. In addition to getting insight from industry leaders, we're going to be doing a live giveaway at the end, so tell your friends to hop on and watch if they aren't already. Now, without further ado, please welcome filmmaker Ariel Martinez. Ariel, thank you so much for joining us today.
What's going on, Sean? How you doing?
I'm doing all right. How have you been recently?
Oh man, things are looking like they're bouncing back since the whole pandemic thing. But we've been sitting tight and waiting for this to happen, and thankfully, it looks like it's starting to happen and whatnot. So I'm very excited for that. And yeah, I've been sitting tight there.
That's awesome. So I want to give people a little bit of a background about you. So just kind of in a brief synopsis, how would you kind of describe, kind of where you are right now in the film industry?
So right now, the more I work, the more I continue to target and get more specific with my work. So right now, I would say I'm more of a production filmmaker. I'm getting hired a lot. Most of the jobs that I have coming in is just doing a lot of shooting. I'm mainly a cinematographer. My clients hire me to shoot a lot and just deliver the raw footage for the most part. And I love it. I love it because I'm very eager to edit stuff that is my own, and that's when I'm most excited about editing. But yeah, mostly, and I love it because I get to play around with lights and production, and I would even say that that's probably my favorite part of it. But it's it seems like that's more and more of what's going on now in my career. So I'm gear ready at all times.
Gotcha. It's always very cool to be right at the intersection of setting up the gear and artistry, right?
And what, I'm sorry, say that last part again.
And being just, kind of that artistry there.
Yeah, no, it's always very interesting because I'm what you would call a gearhead. So I like to play with the equipment that I have. So every single job allows me to get very, very creative with the gear, with my rig setup, with just everything, whether I need 2 monitors, maybe my on-camera monitor is sufficient. Sometimes I need to have 3 monitors on my rig for a client. What lights I'm taking, how I'm going to set this up, looking at the location of what I'm going to be lighting. It's just so much fun. It's never, ever the same.
So if you could tell us a little bit about, you've had a lot of success in your field and you've done a lot of really cool things. So if you can kind of walk us through maybe kind of how you got to where you are and how you built this, like Ariel Martinez brand.
It's funny because my company, when I started back in 2013, I started as 10 Gates Productions, and it was meant to be a production company where I'm just handling a ton of clients, the whole corporate look. But as I continue to pay close attention, and I advise everyone that when you're getting into this, make sure that you have at least several, I guess, filmmakers or people that you aspire to be like, or career-wise, make sure you're following them closely. And that's what I was doing. And then I started seeing more and more that they're branding themselves and selling themselves as the product that their client is getting. And my work, more and more, that's what I really enjoyed. I love their work. I love their cinematography. So I started doing that. And once I started doing that, not essentially copying, I'm taking bits and pieces because I'm very different in my style. And I've sort of realized that as I continue to grab different techniques and workflows from other filmmakers that I follow to kind of make my own brand, my own sort of way of working. And that's how I've sort of come to my entire way of shooting, which is mostly handheld with the easy rig, sometimes with a huge rig, sometimes with a small camera. But what I tell people is to sort of take what you enjoy the most from the filmmakers that you follow, make that yours, maybe even expand on that, maybe even add your own little flavor to it, and kind of see the final product. I'm very happy with what I've been able to produce doing that. but that doesn't mean that you stop learning. That means that you continue to grow and continue to make your brand. And that's what my clients really buy into. It's funny because most of I do several passion projects, meaning projects that I love to do. I'm not getting paid for it. This is just a project that I decided I wanted to make. But those are the ones that my clients have actually referenced when they hire me and say, we want this, So those are the ones that have really made me the money, I would say. So a lot of people don't see what I shoot when I shoot for other clients, oftentimes because I'm not putting it together, I'm not editing it. So they don't see the final product, but they're referencing the videos that I've made. And that's basically my brand. And that's kind of how I went with that. I wanted to brand myself instead of a company. And I wanted to take that route. It was a very conscious decision that I made, or I would say even 4 years ago when I started doing that.
Now, it's really interesting when you talk about your brand, because you have a pretty big presence on Instagram.
Yeah.
You have your own account, Ariel Martinez, but you also have the film school account. So tell us a little bit about those things and how they came to be.
Yeah, so I started film school almost maybe a year or two after I started my company back in 2013. So it was like 2014 or 2015, roughly, when I started film school. And film school was, I didn't go to film school, which is ironic, but film school was supposed to be, I wanted to see gear. I was just all over YouTube, all over the internet, just trying to engulf myself with this industry and trying to really learn as much as I possibly can. That's when I started saying never stop learning. And it's true till this day, you never want to stop learning. So film school was a way, because I never went to film school, I never made those networks and connections that come with going to film school. So film school was a way of me trying to reach out to that. But the way that I would do that is I just posted things that I enjoyed, my gear. But early on, I didn't have that much gear to post. So I ran out of stuff to post real fast. So what I started doing, I started featuring other pieces of equipment, other cameras, and other people that I enjoy their work. I enjoy their content that they post. So I just feature them, and I feature them. I obviously tag them, give them credit, let them know, the audience knows where it came from. And I didn't expect it for it to grow as big as it did, as fast as it did. It started becoming something much bigger than what I would have ever imagined. That's when I realized people enjoy behind the scenes. People enjoy to see. It's funny because you could post a really, really amazing video that you spent you could even say I've spent like a month creating this video. And when you post the final product, it'll get good traction. But when you post the behind the scenes of that video, that's when the real engagement and comments and likes come. People enjoy that way more, which is very interesting. Very interesting. People want to know about that process. So that's what film school sort of merged into. And now it's more of trying to show people the behind the scenes, and obviously the little memes and some laughs and things that relate directly to the industry. But it's more like kind of showing people behind the scenes of these final products. You'll notice rarely do we post final products unless they're accompanied by the behind the scenes.
I definitely see what you mean, because you see so many, there's so many things out there that, people will post a behind the scenes of a film on YouTube and it'll get, a million hits. Yeah. So it's either certainly that hunger for that content. And, people that are working in the film industry, you have that power to kind of pull back that curtain. And another way that you do that is also on, you have your own podcast called the iFilmmaker Podcast. So tell us a little bit about what you do there.
Yeah, so that's an interesting one also. So I started the podcast so as I said, I started seeing people enjoy this stuff. People enjoy learning. And for a while I'm like, man, I always thought that I wasn't very qualified to teach people how to do what I just love. I just love to do it. So I tried to go the YouTube route, but quickly did I find that was way more work than I expected, or that I could even afford to put into that. And then I realized, I realized if I do the YouTube thing, it's going to have to be even almost a full-time thing. Right. And I don't want to take away from the art that I love. So basically the podcast ended up being a middle ground. The podcast ended up being a middle ground where, I can maintain a podcast. It's an audio show. And I thought that was a much easier route to take, to be able to keep consistent content on there. So what did the podcast end up being? It ended up being just my show, my work, what I do, anything that I come across in my work, in any interaction that I have with the client, whether I'm negotiating a rate, whether I'm trying to put down a production agreement, whether I'm trying to follow up with the client to try to land a job, anything, whether you have somebody that's being belligerent on set, how we deal with that, how I deal with it. And one thing that I try to make it a constant message to my listeners is that my methods might not be your methods. Like, there's no right or wrong way to do this stuff. There's things that where the final product is all that matters to your clients, and that's what I try to relay the message there. Like, there's some people that, for example, think autofocus is not for professionals. And I happen to disagree. It doesn't matter. Your client's never going to ask you, how did you pull that focus? And if it was auto, then I don't want it. This is garbage. No one's ever going to say that. No one in the history of filmmaking has ever said that. They only care that you nail the focus, right? And if you intentionally decided to do that, but anyways, yeah, I it's more of kind of being transparent with my work, wanting to give people, as I'm learning, they're learning. As I'm learning this stuff, I want to share the stuff that I learned. That's more or less what it has become. And now today, like, even that, it's ironic because it's a podcast. It's an audio show, but it's about video. So video production, which is funny. But as I started, as I felt that, as I struggled to find more content to add, that's when I started sort of bringing on more people to see how they do stuff, and even sometimes you'll see some episodes where their methods, and, we'll discuss that, might not be my method. I have my method of shooting, and I like to hear other people's methods. And the point of that is to kind of put out there the different kinds of ways to do the same job or to do different projects. And that's basically what the podcast has become, and people have been enjoying it.
So tell us a little bit about, you just mentioned your method and your way of doing things. So
Right.
what kind of gear are you using right now? What's some of your favorite tech right now?
All right. So let's start with cameras. Like right now, I have to go with Sony, just because it's really what's in demand right now. It's really what's in demand. My clients are requesting the FS7 a lot. So naturally, I used to rent it a lot, but now I had to buy it just because, it's making money. And so, and I like it. I like it a lot. I wish they were requesting the red more often so that I can do more work with red and I can justify a purchase like that. But I have to go with what my clients are requesting. So the things that come with that, it depends. Like, if right now my favorite way of shooting is Sony FS7 suited up with the V-Lock batteries, external monitor. Like, it gets pretty heavy, obviously, so I have to pull out the easy rig so that it could not break my back. And yeah, I mean, in terms of audio, lavalier, Sennheiser is my audio preference for lav mics. The Sennheiser AVX system, that's my bread and butter right there. I love those. And for lighting, man, lighting is just, there's so many. I have so many lights. I just love to have options. I really enjoy having options. And again, I'm a gearhead, but I can justify those purchases just because I can have options when lighting a scene, when lighting an interview, whatever it is, whatever I need. Oftentimes I have what I need to light, even indoor, outdoor. Oftentimes I don't have a full-on grip truck or, big, semi that's pulling in with all the gear, but for the stuff for the level of work that I'm being hired to shoot these days, I'm pretty much covered there.
What's your opinion on the sort of debate that's going on LEDs versus traditional? Are you all LED now, or are you kind of doing both still?
I'm pretty much all LED right now. There's honestly no reason. There's no reason to go traditional outside of you trying to get a very specific look. I think that, look, in my opinion, there is no debate. There is none. It's like the debate, like I mentioned earlier, of using autofocus versus manual focus. It's whatever gets your image, whatever gets your image. I can guarantee you not a single client in the world is ever going to ask you, how did you like that? If they like it, they're going to like it. They're not going to look at an image. They're not going to say, well, that is an LED light and I don't like it. Now, let me preface that by let me put a disclaimer in there by saying, if it's a very low quality LED light where the CRI is like at 50 and you're getting like magentas and greens all over the place and the skin tones are really off, that's a completely different story. You know, you want to make sure that you're getting a high quality LED light that can get the job done. Put the right softbox on there that you need to, throw it through the right diffusion, etc., etc. But it just doesn't make sense, because LED lights, they're way better with power. They don't get hot. They're easier to handle, easier to travel with. And there's a lot less things that you have to worry about. And for me, as a one-man band, and that's actually what I've, to answer your question earlier, how I shoot, it's usually that I can handle everything myself. Usually with a good budget, I have a one, maybe two assistants with me, but I have everything that I absolutely need, and LED lights included. I don't think I have, I have a Kino light. I have a Kino light, but I don't remember the last time I used it on set. I really don't. It was like a year and a half ago or 2 years ago. But
you use what works, basically.
I use what works, of course, absolutely, and and whatever fits the client's budget.
That's great. So I know that one of the reasons we have you on is because you use Core products.
Yes.
You use the Nano U98. Is that right?
Love those batteries, man. Love those. I just got back from a shoot with them, and these things are amazing. The reason I use these is because, well, they fit the FS7 and the FS5. But my favorite part is obviously it has the P-tap, the P-tap out. So this powers my monitor when I have an external monitor, as I mentioned earlier. But even the USB, sometimes, even lying around my house, I'll need a battery to charge my phone, and I don't want to have my phone on the wall or whatever. I'll just have one of these on me when I'm watching TV on the couch and I'm charging up my phone. But recently, I found out that my Sennheiser AVX systems, they have, the reason I love that system a lot is because the receivers are incredibly small. These little guys are super small, and this is what connects to your camera. Now, recently, I want to say maybe 8 months ago, I found out that these can be charged while being used. And I found out because I didn't have a choice. It was just something I had to test out on set. I was in the middle of set. Ran out of battery, and I'm like, crap, what do I do now? I happen to have a micro USB cable. I was using the Nano U98 battery. And I said, let me just see if this even charges while it's being used. And it does. So I was charging this while it was connected to my camera via a USB to micro USB connection. That just blew my mind. It blew my mind of the ease of use, the efficiency of it. So this battery just is so reliable. And honestly, one of them will last all day. Unfortunately, I had 3 of them. I lost one of them on set, so I kind of have to get a couple more. But these things are amazing. I really, really enjoy using them. They're super versatile, and that's why I use them.
That's awesome. And we're actually gonna, as I mentioned before, we're gonna be doing a giveaway today. We're gonna be giving away Ariel's favorite battery, the Nano U98.
Yes.
So if you guys want to, whoever's watching, we're actually going to be announcing a winner tomorrow. So if you're watching this not live, playback, you can also give a comment below and let us know sort of what rig you're using and what you'd use the battery for. And we'll pick one lucky winner to receive a Nano U98. All right. So back before we get there, I just want to keep talking to you, Ariel, and just
Yeah.
talk about some of the things that you've done, some of the projects you've gotten to do. Is you have like a favorite favorite moment or favorite project?
Oh man. So right now I'm still very proud of the Zion film that I was able to do. And that film was sort of a headache. It was very interesting just because we went out to shoot with Zion at this time. He's 8 years old, and I've never shot with an 8-year-old before. But the story was supposed to be what an amazing, amazing, talented skater Zion is. And we got there the day of the shoot. We did all the interviews. Everything went fine until the time it came to skate. Now, if you know anything about skating, you know that sometimes you have off days, and most of the time you should have good days, but the more you practice, you have better days. But there's those off days, and Zion had an off day that day, and that was the only day we were able to shoot. This was a passion project, and so it was unfortunate. So it took because it could have been sooner, but just you're so turned off with something that you have no idea what direction to go to when you go into the post-production stage. You're so turned off, you have no idea where to go. I have no story because there is no images of him landing. Well, there's a few, but not enough is what I meant. So it took a long time to get the story right. And I had to kind of shift the story using the interview answers that we had captured. And unfortunately, everything we captured was catered toward him landing all the tricks and how amazing he is. So we kind of shifted it a little bit with that content. We made it at the end about the father and how he supports his son Zion and his other kids. How he's trying to be a good dad with his kids, and obviously implementing how good Zion is, just not emphasizing it as much. So that's what it kind of morphed into. But yeah, and I loved it. We were able to make that a really nice project. I shot it with my good friend and partner Anthony Saratelli, and yeah, we were able to do that project. That's something that I still like. Even I show that to my clients, and that's something that they reference still regarding like hiring me and the types of shots that they're looking for.
So that's something that like you said, when you get on set, and sometimes either the talent or the environment just kind of isn't there, and it can kind of be disheartening sometimes.
Right.
So do you have any like what would if you're in that moment and you see that something's going wrong that's just beyond out of your control? I mean, how do you kind of maintain that and stay focused on your vision?
Man, it's incredibly, I would say it's difficult, but I would say it's more conviction. Conviction in that for the Zion film, my friend Anthony and partner Anthony Saratelli flew out for this project. He brought a ton of gear, and we included a lot of people in this. There was like 5 people that were helping us. We had grips, we had boom op, we had quite a bit. And we had a couple of companies that helped us with the gear also. But and that conviction where I cannot let them down. The people that took the time to come out there and help us, I cannot let them down. I have to finish this. I have to put something out, That is really for that specific project. And obviously that's a very special case. But I think conviction will help in any area. I have a strong conviction about not finishing what I start. And that's something that is very important to me. I the whole YouTube thing, I started it, and I would say I just went in a different direction. It's just something that I knew that I would not be able to maintain. So I had to sort of nip it in the bud very fast. And that's why I'm not a YouTuber. I'm not like a gear reviewer per se. Like you won't be looking for my videos to see the latest about any product. But yeah, I mean, that's sort of how I finish things. And it's learn from your mistakes. Like I learned a lot from the Zion project. I learned a ton. I learned how to deal with, well, what to expect from younger skaters, because Zion was very cranky when he wasn't landing and he didn't want to keep skating. So that was also a little bummer there. But also I learned, you want to get organized pre-shooting. You want to kind of line up everything. And the more experience you get, the more times you do it, the easier it gets. Now, for example, I just finished a Father's Day video for my church, and I think I'm very proud of this video. It hasn't even been released yet, but I'm very excited to debut it. It's going to be debuting this week, and it's a passion project. It was for my church. My church, it's all full ministry, full volunteer, what I do for my church, and I'm very excited about it. But that was a passion project that was, in my opinion, a little bit bigger than Zion's, but it was completed in like 3 days, maybe 2 days. But it's the planning and the experience and knowing what you're going to do pre and post, and that involved a lot of little kids too. But it's really the planning and the experience. The more you do it, the better you get at it. What I would recommend people to do is to get rid of those mistakes early. You're going to make mistakes. Just make them soon and move forward. Move on with it.
That's great. That's some fantastic advice. I know you just mentioned that Father's Day project that's coming up. Do you have anything else exciting that's in the works that people should look out for?
Yeah. So, and again, this is another one for my church. So it's funny, I'm a documentary filmmaker, but we're about to release 2 music videos this week. I'm not a music video director, but they're so much fun, especially when you're doing it for passion and you're doing it with people that you love and you care about. My church and my religion, my relationship with Christ is the most important thing in my life. So doing these projects with these people that I love is the best thing. That's like, if I could do that for the rest of my life, I will. So whether it's a documentary, whether it's a commercial or a music video in this case, that is what I enjoy doing the most. But so we have 2 music videos releasing that were so much fun to make. And I think that they're amazing. They look really, really good. I'm very proud of these 2 music videos. On the Father's Day one, I was I was, everything, the shooter, the director, the cinematographer, the editor, the colorist, everything. On the other one, it's a Spanish music video. It's called Toda la Tierra. I was the director of photography and the colorist. And then another buddy of mine, he was a director and the editor. So he directed it, he edited it, I colored it, and we collaborated there. But it was all for ministry, all volunteer, all a passion project there. And then I'm still in the middle of a documentary that I'm doing with a new pastor, again, a passion project, Pastor Richie Ray. He is a very famous pianist that he played alongside with Bobby Cruz. So they were like Richie Ray and Bobby Cruz, very famous, especially over in Colombia, I believe. And big name. They call him the King of Salsa. The King of Salsa. So I'm doing a short documentary with him. I started shooting it back in December. I started shooting it, and then the whole COVID thing happened. I got the interview, I got everything, I got the whole story already lined up on my timeline. I just need several more shots for B-roll, but then the whole quarantine happened and kind of had to pause on that one. But I think right now, soon, we're going to finish getting those final shots, and I'll be releasing that soon. It'll be basically taking the place of Zion in my lineup of short documentaries. It'll be my next Zion, essentially. It's going to be a bunch of a short documentary, but this one's going to be like, I think it's already at 20 minutes. It's pretty long, I think, if I'm remembering that correctly. But yeah.
Gotcha. So people can keep an eye out for that. So your Instagram is at Film School, right? And what's your personal Instagram?
My personal Instagram is at Ariel Martinez Films.
Gotcha. So keep an eye on Ariel's Instagrams and check out some of his future work. We want to thank you so much, Ariel, for coming on today.
This was fun, man.
Yeah, this was fun. You were a fantastic guest. And we have one more little surprise for our viewers out there. We were talking about the U98s before. We're going to be giving a coupon code out. Get 10% off any purchase of a Nano U98. So you guys can get.
I'm going to use that.
Yeah, there you go.
I lost one, so I gotta replace it. I lost it. I need to get a couple.
Exactly. So thank you once again, Ariel, and thank you everybody for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.
See ya.